Hello and welcome to the Liz Experiment YouTube channel. I'm your host, Liz, better known as the Liz in the Liz Experiment, and this is the channel where I record field notes from my journey towards architecting my best life. If you are a regular viewer of the channel, you can tell that I'm still here in Xalapa, Mexico, the capital city of the state of Veracruz. It's my last week here, and I'm here still I spent a month here. I'm here to learn more Spanish, meet new friends, and explore new culture. In this week's video, I talk about what I learned in my second to last week here in Jalapa, including how much I'm going to miss the city, but realizing it's time for me to head back to the States. And I also talk about focusing on my own energy and maybe talking a little bit about relationships. So let's get started.
Life's a foolish game. Do you ever feel the same? Well, maybe we could change. Turn the ship another way.
All right, so let's jump right in. So the first thing that I mentioned in the intro, one of the things I mentioned in the intro was how much I learned, how much I'm going to miss Jalapa and specifically also just Mexico. But I also started to get some signs that it's time to head back to the States. And I'll talk about what those signs were in just a few minutes. But it's sad to be leaving such a beautiful place and in such a different culture, but I'm also somewhat excited to head back to a place where I know how to speak with other people. It's going to be kind of nice. And the second thing that I remembered or realized or decided this week was that I want to continue learning Spanish, but also I want to come back to Mexico and slow down my travel really and stay in places for more than 2 weeks to a month at a time. You know, a month really isn't a long time, and there's so much here in Jalapa. And Jalapa is just one city in such a huge country that I want to explore more of what Mexico has to offer. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. The third thing that I remembered was, you know what, I really just need to focus on and own my energy. And I mentioned this in several other videos, so I will provide links to those videos down in the description area down below, so be sure to check those out. But, you know, it just was a reminder this week how much I give of my own core when I either blame others for how I'm feeling or try to make others happy and not pay attention to what makes me happy. And so I did a little bit of work on that, and then I'll talk about that as well. And then finally, probably the most intriguing part of the intro was my discussion or my mention of relationships. And more specifically, what I really thought about and talked a lot about with friends this week was relationships, romantic relationships specifically, and how I can be happy without one. Doesn't mean I never want to be in one, of course. How I probably will never get married at this point in my life, but again, could change. But all of that is okay. And I will spend a lot more time on that in a second. That's really the crux of what I wanted to talk about today, actually. So first and foremost, I'm going to miss Jalapa, but it's time for me to head back to the States. And I know it's time for me to head back to the States because the universe told me. How did the universe tell me, you ask? Well, yesterday, after 3 weeks in a city where I met very few, if any, people who could really speak, well, or who chose to speak English with me, yesterday I met not one but two English-speaking people. And one of them, my taxi cab driver, was actually from Montclair, California, which is where I house sit for Faye and my dear friends. And so I kind of am sensing this shift of like, oh, hey, Liz, you know what? You're getting ready to go back to the States for a longer period of time, which is both sad because, as I mentioned in my second learning, I want to continue to explore and learn more about Mexico. And it's a beautiful culture. It's a beautiful country. The food is great. I'm learning a new language. I'm learning a whole bunch of new things without the stress of being in America. And so I'm a little bit sad to leave. At the same time, as I said, I'm excited to go back where things are familiar. So The other thing I worked on this week is thinking about, okay, well, what do I do with my Spanish classes? Like, I've been taking Skype online classes on Skype where I talk with my teacher twice a week. Do I keep doing that? And does that even make sense if I'm not in a Spanish-speaking country? But as I reached out to friends, and just kind of thought about it, it's something that brings me a great deal of joy. And it's something that opens up a new part of my brain that I want to explore. And so I did purchase more Spanish classes. I'm going to keep practicing my Spanish. And I actually think that I'm going to be spending a lot more time in Mexico, hopefully next year. First and foremost, you Americans out there will feel me. My health insurance in America, I have expat health insurance that covers me both in the United States and abroad. But the catch is I have to be out of the country for like 5 or 6 months a year. So as I was thinking about that, because it's open enrollment in America, and if you don't know what that means, I'm glad for you. I realized I want to spend more time outside of the country, specifically in Latin America, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, when things potentially settle down. So I did a lot of thinking on all of that this week, and I'm glad to say I moved forward with, damn it, I'm going to learn more Spanish, and let me think about where else I want to go in Mexico. If you have suggestions on cities in Mexico that I should go to, that I should visit, please let me know. Of course, there's Mexico City and Puerto Vallarta and Cancun and all these places we know in America, in the United States. But if you have any sort of gems, like Xalapa was a complete gem. I love it here. I would come back here, except I want to explore more. Please let me know again in the comments down below. The third thing I mentioned learning was, or remembering, was the need to focus on and owning my energy. It takes a lot out of you when you're constantly blaming others, or you're saying, so-and-so made me do this, or so-and-so is making me feel that way. What I worked on was really stopping and saying, you know what, I'm choosing to feel this way. I can choose differently. Or I'm choosing to try to make so-and-so happy instead of trying to make myself happy. Let me try to make myself happy, and if anybody else is happy, that's just a byproduct. I think this is an important, and I'm kind of skimming through these topics to get to the relationships one because it's the biggest one, but in my opinion, but I do think this one is very important because so many of us give our power away to others, and no matter what our station is in many ways, I don't want to say no matter, in many cases, no matter, whatever, fuck it. Sorry. What our station is, we can choose who we give our power to and why. Of course, there are instances where that's not the case. But I encourage you to think about where are you giving yourself away, and where are you letting others or control you when you don't need to, or when you have a choice not to. So the big thing that I really worked on and talked about this week was relationships, and how I probably will never get married, and that's okay. And so where this all started was, I was a couple weeks ago, many of you know, I went to Naulinco, which is a town about an hour here away from Xalapa, where they do a big celebration of Dia de los Muertos. And on the way home, it's about an hour-long ride, like I said, and I was in the car and the radio was on, and it always makes me laugh because a lot of people listen to American pop music or American music outside of United States music outside of the United States. So it always makes me chuckle because it's just like not many people speak English, but a lot of the music is in English. And as I'm listening to the songs on the radio, and I've had these thoughts before where I recognize like every single song on the radio is about love or relationships, or this person left me, or I'm sad, or I'm happy, or this is what I want from a relationship. And as I thought about that, I thought, damn, there's so much more to life than just being with another person. But what else is there to life, you ask? Working on yourself, asking yourself what you like and what makes you happy, asking yourself how you want to be of service in this world, and then actually being of service in this world. Thinking about what you're working on, and is it making you whole? Is it helping other people? Is it helping people in the way you want to help other people? What is the meaning of being here? Why am I here? What else could make my life better? I can go on and on and on, right? But there is not a lot in our art and in our programming, radio, television, movies, the things that are thrown at us, especially in the United States. I can't speak for other cultures. I haven't been around them as much. But we are programmed towards relationships. You should be in a relationship. If you are not thinking about romantically being with somebody else, what is wrong with you? That has been thrown at us our entire life. Our entire life. I specifically haven't had a romantic relationship in a very long time. In too long. I'm not saying that my way is the way to go. But it's okay. I'm still here. I'm still living my fullest life. I'm still happy. I'm still working. I'm still healthy. I haven't died. I'm not, I don't know, my body's not breaking down and life isn't over. And it's as I started thinking about this, my friend was also thinking about this. And I don't think relationships are bad. In fact, I would love that if it was the right type of person. Here come the dogs, y'all. Yep. I'm going to keep talking though. As I said, I would love that if it was the right type of person. But what I realized is I'm no longer willing to sacrifice who I am to try to meet a man. I'm just not. I'm over that. It's not fair to him because I'm not giving him my whole self, and it's not fair to me because I'm not being my whole self. So, as I think more and more about marriage and why people got married, people used to get married because they wanted to, because they want kids, because of their religion. There's a whole bunch of reasons. And for me, as a 37-year-old woman who's financially independent, who gets along just fine without children, I really don't want to have children, who is enjoying life, what would that need to have a legal marriage be? And I don't foresee what that is. That doesn't mean, I know a lot of people out there are thinking, Liz, you just haven't met the right guy. I mean, come on, you're such a pretty young girl and you're so smart. You'll meet a guy. And maybe I will. But what I'm saying is I don't need to. And that's okay. And it sounds like a very simple statement, but it's a lifetime of deprogramming that I just am throwing out. A lifetime of programming that I'm throwing out with that statement. And so what does that mean for me? It means I feel very free not to have to meet somebody. And now I actually want to start putting myself into situations where I meet more men, potentially romantic relationships, maybe not. But because I've taken the pressure off of myself to try to form my life at the end goal of being in a relationship, I feel like I can be myself much more without worrying, is that weird? Like, is a guy going to think that's weird? Like, am I just weird because I read philosophy books? Nobody's going to like that. I should, no, I don't have to think like that anymore. And so I talk through that. It's a lot that I just put out there, and I talk through it very quickly, but I would love to hear what you think about what I'm talking about. I would love to start a conversation about this, because I think a lot of what holds us back from chasing our dreams is living. There are some real things that hold a lot of people back. I should say that. I don't want to negate that. I know that I speak from a place of privilege. But for a lot of people, this is what life is supposed to be. And I'm saying my life doesn't have to be that way. And I'm bravely saying that. I'm owning that. I'm stepping into that. And I'm also not saying that, oh, I'm never going to get married, or I'm affirming that I'm never going to do that, or I'm affirming that this is my life. It's more that I don't care what you say, society, I'm going to do me. And so I want to hear what you think about that. I want to start that conversation, and I feel very awkward. Like, I didn't actually think about how to end this conversation. So let's keep it going. What do you think? Where do relationships fit into your life? Do you think there's more to life than relationships? And if so, what is that? And how have you practiced that? Do you think I'm crazy and I'm just not seeing the benefit of what is put before me? Please let me know in the comments down below. And honestly, y'all, that's all I have for this week. Next week, I will be in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I'll be back in the States. I will let you know how my travels go and how my last week in Mexico goes. I want to thank Hans Adam featuring Snowflake for the music I use in the intro and outro. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to get these videos in your or to get alerted of them every week. And please comment and let me know what you like about this video, what you don't, what you think. I want to hear more, you know. As always, thanks for watching.